ఓం నమో వెంకటేశాయ. వేదం భారతీయుల జీవననాదం. వేద విద్యా పరిరక్షణకు తిరుమల తిరుపతి దేవస్థానములు విశేషమైన కృషి చేస్తోంది. వేద పరంపరను పరిరక్షించడానికి, వేదంలో ఉన్న విషయాలను వెలికితీసి సమాజానికి అందించే సత్సంకల్పంతో 2006వ సంవత్సరంలో తిరుమల తిరుపతి దేవస్థానములు శ్రీ వెంకటేశ్వర వేద విశ్వవిద్యాలయాన్ని నెలకొల్పింది. యూజీసీ ద్వారా గుర్తింపు పొందిన ఏకైక వేద విశ్వవిద్యాలయమైన శ్రీ వెంకటేశ్వర వేద విశ్వవిద్యాలయం ఇటీవల 4 రోజుల పాటు విశ్వవేద విజ్ఞాన సమ్మేళనం కార్యక్రమాన్ని తిరుపతిలోని మహతి ఆడిటోరియం, ఎస్వి వేద విశ్వవిద్యాలయం ప్రాంగణాలలో నిర్వహించింది.
తిరుపతిలోని వేద విశ్వవిద్యాలయ ప్రాంగణంలో జరిగిన విశ్వ వేద విజ్ఞాన సమ్మేళనంలో తిరుపతిలోని రాష్ట్రీయ సంస్కృత విద్యాపీఠం ఆచార్యులైన రాణి సదాశివమూర్తి గారు మంత్రపుష్పంలోని వైజ్ఞానిక విచారాలను తెలియపరుస్తూ ప్రసంగించారు.
As far as the account of atmospheric origin is concerned, ऋतंच सत्यंच अभिदात तपसः अध्यजायत ततो रात्रिरजायत ततः समुद्रः अर्णवः समुद्रात् अर्णवात् अभिसंवत्सरो अजायत अहोरात्राणि व्यदधत् विश्वस्य मिषतो वशी सूर्या चंद्रमसो धाता यथा पूर्वम् अकल्पयत् दिवंच पृथिवींच अंतरिक्ष मधो सुवः. This is a mantra from the Rigveda Aghamarshana Sukta, a part of Aghamarshana Sukta this is. And here particularly how the constituents of the atmosphere are emerged from the desire of the creator, that Vidhata is not the Vidhata with his four heads, but as explained in the Hiranyagarbha Sukta, as explained in the Uchishta Brahma Sukta, as explained in the Nasadaya Sukta and other cosmological hymns, more than 250 cosmological hymns are there. In all those 250 cosmological hymns, the cause of the universe was spoken about. That cause of the universe is called Brahman. That Brahman is not the four-headed Brahman. It is the subtlest and the subtlest. In the Vedic Samhitas, the necessity of the unity of all these 5 elements is proclaimed well as the essentials or prerequisites for good or favorable meteorological conditions and predictions. The following hymns of Mantra Pushpa given an excellent account of the relation of the water, fire and other elements in relating the cycle of seasonal rains and atmospheric changes. First we will deal with the interaction of moon and water. Yopam pushpam veda pushpavan prajavan pashuman bhavati chandramava apam pushpam pushpavan prajavan pashuman bhavati ya evam veda. This is the first hymn of the mantra pushpam. As explained here, one who knows about the flower of water becomes the possessor of that flower, progeny and wealth of cattle. The moon is the flower of water. One who knows this fact is the possessor of the flower, progeny and wealth of cattle. This is the meaning of this. Here, according to Vedic and post-Vedic Indian astronomical texts, 3 out of 6 seasons, Vasanta, Grishma and Varsha, are ruled by the predominance of the sun over moon. The latter 3 seasons, Sharad, Hemanta and Shishira seasons, are governed by the moon. That is called Agni-Shoma relation in the Veda. Interaction of the sacrificial fire and the moon and the water, that is being explained here. Yo apam ayatanam veda ayatanavan bhavati agnirva apam ayatanam. Ayatanam means source. Source of water they are speaking about. So here apam ayatanam ayatanavan bhavati yo agnirayatanam veda ayatanavan bhavati apova agnirayatanam ayatanavan bhavati evam veda. This is the second mantra. One who knows the source of the waters becomes the possessor of all the source. The fire is the source of all the water. So having known this fact, one becomes the possessor of the right source. Reciprocally, water is the source of the fire. One who knows this fact knows the source of all. This is the content of this mantra. Here the fire is symbolic representation of all the heat producing elements in the world and beyond. In the world and beyond, whatever is heat producing element, that is represented by this fire, and which enable the waters to dry up in order to get stored in the clouds. Particularly, this fire is the fire in the sacrificial altars also. So this is. And yo apamayatanam veda ayatanavan bhavati vayurva apamayatanam. Yo vayorayatanam veda ayatanavan bhavati apo vai vayorayatanam ayatanavan bhavati. Here, the interaction between the vayus and the water, it is being explained here in this one. Interaction between the sun and waters, that is, yo apam ayatanam veda ayatanavan bhavati asovai tapan apam ayatanavan bhavati. Here, tapan is the sun. Ayatanavan bhavati yo amushya tapata ayatanam veda ayatanavan bhavati apova amushya tapata ayatanavan bhavati evam veda. This is the fourth mantra of Mantra Pushpa. One who knows the source of the waters is the possessor of the source of all. The sun is the source of all the waters. Having known this, one becomes resourceful. One who knows the source of the sun possesses the source of all. The waters are the sources of the sun. Due to the heat of the summer sun, the excessive waters in the rivers, oceans and all other water reservoirs get evaporated and stored in the clouds during the spring and summer, and then they are showered in the rainy season. And similarly, to regulate the heat of the sun on the earth and in the environment, the waters of rainy season have their influence during the last 3 seasons. Here the interaction of the sun and waters is explained. Taking this concept, Kalidasa in his Raghuvamsha explains, Sahasragunamut srashtum adattehi rasam ravihi. Next, moon and waters, again he comes to this in the Mantra Pushpa. Yo apam ayatanam veda ayatanavan bhavati chandrama va apam ayatanavan bhavati yas chandramasaha ayatanam veda ayatanavan bhavati apo vai chandramasaha ayatanavan bhavati evam veda. So, as explained in the beginning, it establishes the relation between the moon and the waters, how he influences. Then, another interesting thing is there, nakshatras and the waters also have a relation. That is explained here. That is, yo apam ayatanam veda ayatanavan bhavati nakshatrani va apam ayatanavan bhavati. Here, the stars are indicators of future rain according to the ancient Indian astronomy also. Their source is this mantra, this part of the mantra. The association of different stars with the moon is indicative of future rains also. That is experienced by us as per the predictions in the Panchangams. When they say that the moon comes into the association of this particular nakshatra, there will be heavy rain. And when he is in the association of the other particular nakshatra, the rain will be less. Like that, the readings are there. Accordingly, we have a wonderful experience of the predictions. And then, similarly, in Brihat Samhita, one particular instance I would like to present here, the rise of the Agastya star. Udayecha punaragastya namnaha kusamayogamala pradushanani hridayani satamiva svabhavat punarambuni bhavanti nirmalani. This is a shloka, very popular shloka in the Brihat Samhita. Soon after the rainy season, that is, in all courses of water, normally the water is impure and is not drinkable also. Hence, the authentic texts on astronomy observed a natural phenomenon and chronicled in the contents. According to them, the rise of the Agastya star is appropriate time for directly drinking water from water streams, rivers and the courses. The invisible rays of the star, that Agastya star, when come into contact with the waters, and the waters will turn pure. By the rays of Agastya star, all the waters that have become muddy in the association of clay during rainy season will turn clear like the hearts of good people. There is a upamana also given by the Brihat Samhitakara. So, similarly, then next criterion is Parjanyas. Yo apam ayatanam veda ayatanavan bhavati parjanyo va apam ayatanavan bhavati yah parjanyo va apam ayatanavan bhavati yah parjanyasya ayatanam veda ayatanavan bhavati apo vai parjanyasya ayatanavan bhavati evam veda. This is the mantra in the Mantra Pushpa, next mantra. So, in this present hymn, the cloud is said to be the source of water and the water is the source of cloud. The Parjanyas are the clouds as the source of water are much praised throughout the Vedas on many occasions. Every time the clouds are found to be in association with other elements of nature and praised as the source of good rains. So this is there. And then the following are some combinations of Parjanya and natural deities. The wind, the sun and the Parjanya, the combination of these three is explained in this mantra. Shanno vatah pavatam shamnas tapat suryah shamnah kanikrada devah Parjanyo abhivarshatu. This is Vajasani Samhita, and here may the wind be auspicious while blowing, may the sun shine well for our well-being, may the good God Parjanya, the chief of the clouds, shower everywhere auspiciously. Here the interaction of the winds, the sun and Parjanya for good rains is depicted. The bright shining of the sun is possible during the seasons of spring and Grishma. The rains, while the brightest is the sunshine, the rains can be inferred to be the early monsoon rains they are. Then the mountains, the clouds, the fires and the wind. About that is second verse. Ye parvataha somaprishtaha apaha uttana sivarihi vata parjanya adagniste kravyadam asisamam. This is in the Atharva Veda. This is symbolically explained about the process of the rainfall due to the association of this all. May the teams of wind sing, may the Parjanya roar alone, may the collections of rain shower on the earth everywhere. Yo apam ayatanam veda ayatanavan bhavati samvatsaro va apam ayatanam ayatanavan bhavati yat samvatsarasya ayatanam etc. is there in the mantra. And here the largest phenomenal unit of the time, year, is said to be the source of waters, and the waters as the source of such a year, the collection of seasons. In this manner, the interaction of time and the waters also is suggested. In such waters, it is praised that there is a ship to help the beings in crossing the worlds. Ultimately, what should be our objective? To cross the worlds, not to stay in the worlds, not to fix ourselves in the wheel of death and birth. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare sayanam. This should not be our goal. We should go beyond this world. For that, we need a ship. Metaphorically, the word ship is used. What is that ship? That is, the ship is none else than the Paramatman. Yatte madhyam prathivi adva nabhyam u asta urjas tanvah sambabhuhu vasu no dehi abhinah pavasva mata bhumi putroham prithivyah Parjanya pita sa unah vipartuhu. So that is the place given to Parjanya in our life. While the earth is our mother, Parjanya is our father. Like that, we rely upon nature. Vedic scholars advised us to grow on the lap of nature instead of conquering the nature. That's why as a child of nature we should grow. That was the suggestion given in our ancient Vedic literature.
తిరుపతిలోని శ్రీ వెంకటేశ్వర ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్ ఆఫ్ మెడికల్ సైన్స్ స్విమ్స్ కు చెందిన డాక్టర్ అల్లాడి మోహన్ గారు వైద్యకీయానికి వేదానికి ఉన్న సంబంధాన్ని తెలియపరుస్తూ వేద అండ్ సైన్స్ ఏ ఫిజిషియన్ పర్స్పెక్టివ్ అనే అంశంపై ప్రసంగించారు.
శ్రీ గురుభ్యో నమః. I would like to share with you some of my own experiences into research into the Veda, especially related to tuberculosis. Anantaha vai Vedaha. The Vedas are unending. The Vedas, the Rig, Yajur, Sama and Atharva Veda constitute the first of the four Pramanas of Sanatana Dharma. Since time immemorial, the Vedas, together with their Angas and Upangas, form an intimate part of our existence. All Vedas have one common goal. Shanno astu dvipades sanchatuspade. That is, the well-being of the entire world, entire universe, why the world, and all the creatures, bipeds, quadrupeds, and so on, that are living in this world. Veda means knowledge deriving from the Sanskrit root vid, meaning to know, to see, or to cognize. The Vedas are Vidyas or ways of knowledge. The Vedas are of immeasurable value, as much for their sound as for their verbal content, and the moral instruction as well as the scientific truths that are contained in them. While the sound of the Vedas has its creative power, the words are notable for the exalted character of the meaning they convey. Science is considered to be an objective pursuit of truth through observation and experimentation. It's a different paradigm altogether. Science is based upon reason and direct perception, where without any preconceived notions, the reality is pursued by the unbiased observer. Scientists perceive all phenomena in terms of measurable quantities by the systems available that can be explained by simple laws of mathematics, physics, chemistry, and so on. The quest for science in the Veda that will benefit the humanity is polarized and skewed with the extreme views being projected, while the truth lies somewhere in between. At one pole, we have people who say, oh, it's all known, everything that has been known, that is being known, and that will be known in future is already there in the Veda. Then we have the other pole of people who say, nothing regarding science is ever mentioned in the Veda, nor it will ever be, therefore nasti. No, it's not there. But between these two polarized views, the truth is somewhere in the middle. There is a sacred truth in research that there is no sacred truth. Carl Sagan, mathematician, physicist, astronomer from Cornell University. The point is, pursuit of research should have the same rigor, discipline and framework as you do, whether it is humanities research, life sciences research, mathematical research, medical research, or for that matter research in the Veda. Over the last 25 years, I have been carrying out research on a disease called TB, tuberculosis, yakshma, kshaya, sosa, various names. It is called as the captain of all these men of death. And it might surprise you that every 2 minutes in this country, a person is dying of TB. As I am speaking, over the last 5-7 minutes, 4 to 5 people would have died of TB. The sad part is it's a treatable, curable disease. You have some treatment which will cure you of the disease, yet people are dying of the disease. Now, in this context, let me share some of my experiences briefly with regard to how I got drawn into the pursuit of science in the Veda. We always felt with pride that the oldest references to tuberculosis has been in the Veda. If you take the standard Western textbooks, you take David Strasberg's textbook from Philadelphia, you take William Rome's textbook, you take Michael Eisman's textbook from Denver, you take out P.D.O. Davies from London, every book on TB starts with one line. The ancient references to tuberculosis are in the Veda. Beyond that, nothing else is ever written. So when I had been to the United States on the occasion of my American Thoracic Society international meeting where I had a talk to deliver, there was a talk going on among the experts in TB. Then someone asked me, this sentence is occasionally seen, that TB is known from the time of the Veda. What is this Veda? Is it a poem? Is it a prose? Is it a verse? Is it a meter? And what is it? What is it? So they looked at me and they said, look, you are from India, you let me know, you tell us what is this Veda. If it is a Chinese literature, I can understand, I can take out. If it is Egyptian mummies, I can have a look at that. If it is Iranian history, I can have a look at that. What is this Veda? And at that point in time, in spite of having had the formal opportunity to pursue study of the Veda by virtue of my circumstances, at a drop of a hat, I was absolutely tongue-tied. I couldn't give a response. The question is, here the paradigm of learning, retaining, remembering, recapitulating, reproducing and carrying forward the Veda is entirely a different ball game from the traditional European system of education, Macaulay's system of education which we are following. The traditional way of learning which I am sure all of you are very familiar with, but for the benefit of some who are probably not ordained into the traditional way of learning, let me quickly recapitulate. First, the Veda is Srutam. It is in the form of a sound. It is heard. It is committed to memory. The Swara as well as the Shabda. Subsequently, after 10th standard you study +1, +2. Then you study bachelor's degree. Then you study master's degree. People say, what are these Purohits doing? The Purohita is not a Vedic scholar. They are reciting something, they don't understand. Fine. The first stage of that particular way of understanding is committing to memory. Veda was carried in the head. The Vedic scholar is a walking encyclopedia. I need to check into Harrison's textbook. I have to take it out, search the CD or see it on the net. The Vedic scholar doesn't need to do that. You ask him, he will immediately recapitulate in the mind. That's how Veda was preserved over millions of years. Not as a Bhurjapatra, Talapatra or in the Pustaka form. The script being attributed to Veda is also a recent phenomenon. Then I had to introspect a while and then talk to my friends and well-wishers, people. Then we thought that the way to answer this question is not looking out into the world, but looking around us. People who are traditional Vedic scholars, who are the ones who can answer this question. So I asked my friend Govindrajan, so who can guide me? Then he led me to the principal of one Veda Pathashala from Kerala, Swaminathan, and from there the contact went to other people. The traditional scholar was very much worried. Why is this physician trying and meddling with Veda? I said, look, I want to look at something which will convince the world that the first descriptions of TB are in the Veda to begin with. If that itself is tantalizing, further work one may introspect and see more information which is useful, because we had TB which was untreatable till 1940s. Then there was era of treatment of TB. Then we had MDR TB, multi-drug resistant TB. Now we have XDR TB, extensively drug resistant TB, and totally drug resistant TB. The wheel has come full. Now from the era of treatable TB, we are back to untreatable TB. Maybe the Veda holds something useful, we do not know. Work needs to be carried forward. But what I wanted to share with you is, after being stonewalled for a long time, I had to think out of the box. And with the kind help and the interaction with exceptionally gifted Vedic scholars with photographic memory, you tell one word and they will rattle out the which page, which paragraph, which line, which sentence has these words and what is the context, and they shared their views. And this we had published, and this has been a eye opener to me, and subsequently we featured this content in our textbook, which is prescribed by the Medical Council of India as a standard textbook for every medical school in this country today, as a part of the prescribed material. And this kind of contribution was possible. I was only a Samanvaya Karta. The God had given me the opportunity to coordinate the brilliance of the traditional scholar. Then put it up, people say, I described that TB is in the Veda, which is incorrect. I always correct Michael and my other friends. I didn't describe that TB is in the Veda. I brought into light the fact that TB is known since the earliest references are there since the time of the Veda.